All right, welcome back to another Wright Street podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright. I'm not even sure what day it is. We took a little hiatus. A little life happens, and it's tough, dude. It definitely messes with you. Becomes part of the routine us doing this, but it also, hey, we got lives outside of this, which is awesome. But I do enjoy always BSing with you on some sports.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it wasn't really scheduled or planned for Brian and I, and we had some softball games, some lacrosse games. We were coaching our kids in baseball as well. We had a tournament last weekend, first one from the travel season, and I think we just kind of looked at each other as we were parting ways in the parking lot. We didn't do that. We coached, to be fair, but we were out in the sun all day. We're just like, oof.
Hey, and Paul, you still are pimping the all black long sleeve, which I can do 84 and less, but we were definitely flirting on the edge of the 90s. How did you smell once you got home? Once you kind of felt a
little gamey, but not too bad.
Too bad. Okay.
I like the black. It's like that black kind of lighter material.
Dry fit.
I like it because it doesn't show my sweat as much.
Okay.
At all, really. So I like that. Then I usually have it rolled up halfway or 3/4 or something. So
yeah, just I've become very aware the black color definitely attracts the heat. I think I've seen like maybe the Mythbusters or something talk about like the eye black. Like, does it reflect? How much does it actually help?
It doesn't help a whole lot. Yeah.
I don't think so. Were you a eye black wearer?
Not in pro baseball. That was
That's definitely high school, college.
In high school,
not really ever pitchers.
No, in high school I did. I liked it when I was playing a position. I mean, I remember growing up and seeing like guys wear it in the big leagues, like in the 80s and 90s, and it's just you honestly, like as a kid, you have no idea what it does. You just see a big league guy do. It's almost like, you know, remember watching like Lenny Dykstra, one of those guys with a big fat chaw in his mouth, and you're like, you just start associating it with, you know, being a ball player, that sort of thing. And so I never chewed, but I would wear eye black. I remember one time I did Roger Clemens did it a little bit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember Clemens. I liked Clemens growing up, and I remember in high school one time I did it. I probably got a little too aggressive with it. And we were playing a fall ball game. And it was one of these tournaments where a bunch of teams from like Pennsylvania and New York and Maryland were coming down and playing us. And it was so the team it was the Greater Raleigh Fall Ball League. We had a North Raleigh and a South Raleigh, like select team. So they picked the best kids from the areas. And so I was on the south side. So our uniforms were like, Coach said, go get gray pants, get black socks. We had black T-shirt jerseys with like the 2 buttons with a little like patch on over the chest, the heart part. And then like our sleeves had like gold piping around the bottom of the sleeve, and the north sides had red. So that was the only differentiator. And then we had hats. I think I don't even know what they said on it. It was a black hat with a gold bill for us, and theirs had a red bill. So these other teams were coming down with like legitimate, like almost Baltimore Orioles or New York Yankee uniform, like replica style, like. And so anyway, we're playing in this tournament. All these teams look great, look the part, and we're out there with our gray pants and black T-shirt, 2 buttons. And I remember this very game specifically, we were playing a team that had like Yankees kind of, and I, like I said, got a little aggressive. And then I hear them over there like making fun of me. I was like, okay, all right, let's see. And ended up throwing like 7 innings of 1-hit ball or something against them. And
you found that edge.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's going to happen now? And I'm not sure who is starting this trend, the above knee stuff. I'm seeing it more and more. I'm seeing it in the big leagues. Bro, it is coming. I'm not sure who's doing it. I'm not sure if I see it a lot with the younger generation, but I also see it in the big leagues. And
there's
so it's coming.
Yeah. There's a few. Remember Hunter Pence used to do it a little bit. He got really high with it. I don't know. Is there a rule? I mean, I guess there's not a rule against it. I mean,
no. I mean, you used to had almost the big, fluffy, big pants down
like
there.
Great lines, yeah.
So yeah. So jump into sports. Hey, what has caught your eye the last 2, 3, 4 days.
All right. So this is something that I saw. I haven't dug into it, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. So we're a few years off from the 2028 Olympics. Flag football will be a sport in the 2028 Olympics. The NFL has said that NFL players are eligible and will be able to play flag football in the Olympics. All right. First of all, smart, dumb. And then second, does an NFL player translate to flag football?
For the player, probably not a good idea for them to play. You obviously put more wear and tear on your body. I've heard a number of players come out and say they're super excited about it. They want to do it. They want to win a gold medal. I just don't think from a health standpoint, anytime a lot of these bad injuries are non-contact injuries. I mean, they've eliminated a lot of concussions, and you still hit there's still some dangers, right? We had a player die on the field a couple of years ago. So there's still dangers with contact football, but a lot of your major season-ending injuries are non-contact. And so I'd say it's probably not. There's clearly going to have to be a release. There's going to have to be something that, they sign. But what was the second question?
So I asked do you think that the NFL game, the players will translate?
Oh, 100%. A lot of these guys now play 7-on-7, especially the younger generation. They do this. And it's one of the reasons it's hard to even be a two-sport athlete in high school anymore, because they're doing 7-on-7. And if you're not getting that work in the summertime and springtime with your football team, it's definitely going to translate. Okay. I think the more obvious question, or the more interesting maybe, is there going to be anyone that remotely competes with the U.S. in regards to this?
I can't imagine so.
From another country.
I can't imagine anybody comes close.
No, I can't either.
But so the reason I asked you the second question, so I used to play like 1 or 2 flag football tournaments a year. It was a lot of fun. I always played quarterback. I never played defense. Just it was great. And but I remember there was one time this guy came out, and he actually played for the Tennessee Titans. Now, he wasn't like an everyday guy. I think he was like practice squad and then made it up and down sort of thing. But still was on the Titans. Was really, really close in there, right? And he was like a middle linebacker, kind of a big white dude. Looked like a Latimer on the program. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
That's what he
great name too. Yeah.
And he was playing flag football with us. And it did not translate for him at all. He was a little rigid with his movements, but you could tell very mechanical with it.
I think what you will see with this is going to be all wide receivers.
It's all speed. Yeah, it's all speed.
You're not going to see anybody who puts their hand in the ground, or probably even anybody who goes to a true 2-point stance.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe a running back. But I would bet we could put together 3 or 4 teams that would beat everybody else. First of all, the American football was unique. Obviously, you have rugby in a lot of other places.
Yeah, but that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. They do a lot of kicking, some weird little rules. They can run and kind of kick it forward. I've watched. It's entertaining. I think if I knew the rules a bit more, I don't understand why we don't do better in that sport. Honestly,
nobody plays it. It's not a local. Hold on, I'm trying to think to your question who. There can't be. I can't think of a country that's even going to come.
Canada, maybe. But it's not going to be close, but within 3 scores.
I mean, the thing that they're going to have to do is almost like the World Baseball Classic, where if you have heritage for that, if your grandparents are English or Canadian or Jamaican, whatever it is, right? You can play for that country, but maybe like the Samoan Islands, maybe.
Yeah. I don't even know. Do they enter the Olympics generally?
I mean, you can enter from any country. You just have to.
Right. Yeah. You got to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah, that thing. I don't know. I'm thinking like the Dominican, they might have some really good athletes. I don't think catch or throw a football, right? But
yeah, definitely do a really good job with baseball and other sports. I would say, I don't think anybody's going to compete with him. But again, back to my original thought, there's probably enough guys who don't quite make it to the NFL who, or second year, first year out of college, that probably could put together a good enough squad to win. But if the NFL is going to allow it, I heard Jeffrey. There's a lot of guys that are really, really into this.
Excited about it, yeah.
So it'll be fun to see. Just add another gold, maybe.
So Brian, since your Tigers have been playing pretty well. I mean, 7-3 in their last 10, but best record in baseball at 33-17. It's a .660 winning percentage. Have you seen your Detroit Tigers playing any ball?
I have, and dude, they just hit. They're kind of old school. They don't get a lot of media coverage. I think they got to do really well. They got guys that are for sure capable of extending this and repeating this, because there's nobody really having a great season. Torson, some of those guys are swinging it well, but it's not like off the charts. There's no judges on that team. They have done a really good job putting together a really good team. But I will say this, just so I saw recently. So I think it was 75, maybe it's 75 or maybe it's 85. It's the Reds. They were 20-19 at one time. And they finished with 108 wins at the end of the season.
That was the 75 Reds. Yeah, they've been 70. That was the big red machine. Yeah.
I think there's something to like these games. And it's obviously fun if you're trying to follow a season, because there is a lot of games, but you got to put something on it. I mean, I think what's more interesting is, do the Mets have regrets?
Oof, man, that's popping up, man. I've seen a lot of stuff on some different social feeds around, like Juan Soto is moping and pouting and not a good clubhouse guy, and now it's coming out like he really wanted to stay in the Bronx, and man, like I don't know what you do with that, man. And honestly, when we talked about it back in the fall or when we got, neither of us thought he was worth that much. Like he's very good, very, very good.
And even not even from a marketing standpoint, Ohtani, you can argue marketing, right? He's bringing a whole market to a whole set of a country.
He's bringing a continent.
Yes,
kind of two continents. Well, two countries, I guess, but it could be argued a continent. But anyway, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So he would be the only one. I saw Scott Boras, famous agent, signed a lot of people. He tried to get in and have a chance to represent Ohtani. And so he met with the family. He said he didn't exactly understand what the process was going to be, but he was like, Ohtani should have been the first $1 billion. Oh,
yeah.
Player. And he was like, I could have definitely sold it to someone, multiple people, multiple teams, that he would have been worth $1 billion based on eyes, based on marketing, based on everything. But I'll say this, I'm glad he didn't get $1 billion. But if we got our Mets guy getting 700 million, it shouldn't be close, because he's obviously much more valuable. Does he come back and pitch this year, Ohtani?
They say he's getting close in some simulated stuff. I mean, that's what you're paying for, right? That's why you're paying him like the best pitcher and the best hitter in baseball, which he's pretty close the past couple of years as hitter. And when he pitches, he's really, really good. So I hope he does. I'd like to see it. Maybe even just like a closer kind of role. That would be a lot of a short guy, give him a day, let him pitch an inning or two, give him a couple days, hit DH.
Hey, I got a question for you. I feel like you probably would have saw this a little bit, but back to the Mets.
Yeah.
With that amount of money for one player, did you ever play with guys where you felt like there was, and again, you were never really, I would imagine, with established guys, but jealousy, expectation? I've heard people talking about, well, he makes this kind of money. He's not running hard up the line. What's that showing everybody else? Well, it's showing everybody else he's made the money. He can do whatever the hell he wants, And that's really the truth.
Well, that
I
and
don't
that's
think nobody looks at him as like an example. That's what.
he's not a
What's
leader. I
your
don't think
thoughts
he's a
on that?
leader. No, he's not a leader. I don't see that at all. And he's still young, man. He's only like 26. He's still super. I mean,
Is that
no,
Dominican age or is that real age? Have they
well,
corrected all
I
that?
think they cleaned all that up after 9/11, but Judge, he's the captain, right? He's a leader.
He's
Soto
got presence too, and I don't know.
Soto was Robin. Soto was Robin last year to his Batman, and that has to be a factor. I think Pete Alonso is probably the leader on that team, and look what they're trying to do to him, and he's having a great year, right? And some of it you lead by example, some of it's, and part of that example is how are you acting and reacting when things aren't going your way, when things aren't going well.
Well, I think we've all been around people that have some natural leadership skills or natural leadership qualities that you can't necessarily quantify, qualify.
Yeah.
It's almost an intangible, and you like for it to be your best player. A lot of times it is when they're younger, but I think as you get older, there's different qualities, different things that it's almost hard to even describe. And I think you if you pay somebody that amount of money, you better hope they have some of those leadership qualities outside of, can swing it a little bit and play a average to below average right field.
Have you ever heard of the theory that quarterbacks are better looking kids?
100%.
And so like because they have the confidence and it's kind of like the halo effect where everything around them just gets better sort of thing. And maybe there's like we talk about like subconscious biases and like in hiring processes, like with even like Pop Warner coaches, they like, oh, the better looking kid, he must be.
Well, you know what, dude? We probably could get a little bit weird on this and go back to like, ancestry days, genetics, and kind of subconsciously having an impact because you feel like if somebody's a better looking, they're healthier, they're going to be a better warrior, a better helper, a better something. And so I think maybe there's something subconscious there, or maybe it's become conscious. I played quarterback until about 8th grade. And so I think that's when I really
better looking kid.
Yeah, better looking kid.
Darker
so
skin.
I was, hey, you're more of a linebacker, maybe a running back.
Let's keep that helmet on. No cameras are going to be on you, buddy.
Yeah. So I would say, there's definitely something to that because you think about the quarterbacks around the league and they're all, they talk about beauty. It's really about being symmetrical, right? And so those guys, there's probably something to balance and something to evenly strength. And yeah, definitely, it's kind of, chicken and egg a little bit, right? Yeah. You don't see many ugly. I'll tell you this. I think that may have been my bias to Jackson, right? Jackson at Baltimore is not, at least when he first came out, wasn't a, I'm fine masculine enough to say he wasn't a good-looking guy, right? But dude, he's gotten better looking, and obviously he's a phenomenal player. So I would say he may have bucked that trend a little bit.
Yeah, I just pulled up. I just quick Google. Here it is. According to people, the 12 sexiest quarterbacks in the NFL. We got Jalen Hurts number 1. Yeah. Mahomes number 2.
Not bad.
Joe Burrow number 3. Caleb Williams number 4. Russell Wilson number 5. Dak Prescott 6. Josh Allen 7. Justin Herbert 8. Brock Purdy 9, and Derek Carr 10. So
yeah. And I'm still not. Maybe I'm just not comfortable enough. It's hard for me to judge like guys and look. I can tell. I can tell who's clean and kind of put together. It's not like it's hard for me to tell. An 8 from a 9. Like females, I feel like I can be. I've got a critical enough eye. It's like, yeah, she's. And obviously, I look at myself. I'm like, dude, I'm a 3 now. I've went down from probably a good solid 6, 5.5 to 6, to a solid 3 right now.
So Brian, do you remember back in the? I think, and we've mentioned this before. We brought this up. Max Fried went over to the Yankees.
Yes, and Go ahead, finish your thought.
And so I asked Brian this question in a little right or wrong segment back in December. I said, hey, who's going to have a bigger impact on their team, Max Fried or Juan Soto? And so Max Fried is having a phenomenal year.
Dude, he's back to dirty. He's back to being long and really coming out of right field. His slider feels like, from a lefty standpoint, it's unhittable. And I'll tell you what else has happened. His velocity is pretty close to where it has been. But if you watch him pitch, dude, he's hitting spots. Like, there's not a ton of guys that throw hard now that hit spots. Even Skeens has lowered his arm slot, gets a lot more run. He's a lot more like the old school pitchers that try to hit spots and try to be more of a professor person. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that, if you watch a game and truly watch a game, there's a lot more now middle than I think there ever was in the late 90s and early 2000s in regards to pitch location. There's a lot more velocity, or a lot more guys who can throw with velocity, but there's a lot less surgical pitching, and he's done a lot of that.
Yeah, so Max Fried is sitting 62 2/3 innings, 43 hits allowed, pretty solid. 15 walks, 60 punch outs, so 62 innings, 60 punch outs, almost one, and a 1.29 ERA. And his hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any start this year.
Hey, do you feel like when you go play for the Yankees, it's almost like, just from the media, the fans, it's almost like a step up from like
he was in Atlanta,
Milwaukee, or I would imagine, like, you think about, like, you make it to the big leagues and you kind of establish yourself and you get comfortable there. All of us have played long enough seasons where, not that it becomes monotonous, but it becomes like just part of your routine. Yeah. You don't feel that adrenaline as much anymore. I wonder if you go there again. And I think for some guys, especially if they're young, they can't control that adrenaline. They can't control kind of their emotions, and they have a hard time settling in. But even Rodon this year is having a good year. He's obviously well established himself. But at times he's gotten hit hard there. But it almost feels like the Yankees, it takes a different kind of mentality to have success in that.
Yeah, well, we saw Randy Johnson kind of, not be able to handle that, and a few others, right? It's not easy. NBA, we got some finals, but MVP voting came out. MVP, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander,
SGA
got 71 of the 100 first place votes, with the Joker getting the other 29.
We haven't talked about this because I haven't really gotten into basketball, just other things, good college baseball on. But the reality is, dude, there's being a turning of the tide in regards to who are the superstars of today in the NBA.
Your boy Ant-Man.
And you got Ant-Man is my new favorite player. I like, dude, there's something to that little. He has a little Jordan in him, dude. And SGA is a phenomenal athlete. But I just like kind of the swagger of Ant. But SGA definitely earned it. SGA, they beat the Timberwolves' butt the other night in the first round. And so it's and on the other side, man, you got the Knicks, dude. You got the Knicks that are still doing it with a 6-foot tall guard. I always see his stuff where his dad's working with him when he's like maybe it looks like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, maybe 9th grade, because he's not a big kid. And he's like, he shoot a free throw, then he run to half court, or shoot something, then run. And it's like, dude, what a great legacy, because his dad's obviously been involved with the NBA as well. And, it was funny, man. He came from the Mavericks. And so they had Luka, they had him, and now Dallas, I guess, did gain a little bit.
Yeah. In theory, they're going to have Cooper Flag here.
Yeah, or at least have the opportunity to. But it's just funny. He is an alpha, and if he's allowed to be an alpha, he can be a really special one.
Yeah.
But he could not be a number 2, which was kind of an interesting thing. And obviously, a little bit more maturity, a little bit more age probably has an impact. But, man, he is the leader, unequivocal leader with the Knicks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brian, last one. We're going to talk a little ACC baseball. So I've watched a little bit of games, haven't been great. A lot of bad pitching, a lot of walks, a lot of just high score. If you're into it, sure. It's just not clean. It's not super clean baseball. But games, watched a little bit of Louisville Pitt game, and that was just a marathon of a game. I don't have it pulled up. I think at one point, like in the fifth inning, Louisville already walked 10 guys or 11 or something crazy. But it led to Boston College and Notre Dame starting their game at 10:30 at night. Yeah. And then the game went 3 hours. I'm like, dude.
And that's probably not a game. I don't know. I kind of, there'll be a time in my life where I will go and I will watch every entire inning from 9 o'clock until midnight or whatever it was. I've got a friend of mine who's still a scout, and she was there from the first game to the end of the last game. Whew. And that is putting in your time.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, but I will. I mean, I just think, dude, you could eat all your meals there. You could get drunk at like 2 o'clock and still come out and be fine by 12, 1 o'clock. I mean, you've taken a nap and woken back up, and the two same teams are playing. I mean, so it's, I don't know. It's a great event. Yeah. They went back and put everybody in it. It's almost like I wish they put everybody in it in basketball, because I felt like there was a chance that teams could win. And the underdogs won in the baseball early, the first round.
Yeah. And again, it's 10 through 16. So underdogs is a relative term, I think, right? But the lower seed did win a couple of games.
And so, we've talked about this with all these things. You could get away with just taking the top half or maybe the top 10.
Yeah,
and that's a better tournament. They have went to all single elimination, which is good. And I think that probably allows you to set up yourself for your regional a little bit better, so you ain't got to go hard through your pen or really push guys.
Yeah.
But the SEC is the same way, though. Tennessee beat the tar out of Alabama like 16-5 or 16-6, and so there's college baseball is not, I guess it's a lot more of an emotional game than pro baseball. And I feel like the momentum swings are a lot harder, too, than pro baseball.
Oh, geez.
And so it is a lot of this and a lot of this. And momentum is one of those things you can feel it, but you can't see it. And you don't necessarily know how it starts. And it just happens. And so it's dude, it's going to be fun. We got the real game starting hopefully tomorrow night. We got the pack.
Yeah. Tomorrow is when the top 4 seeds play, because they got the double bye. And so, man, just watching some of these games, the teams who have been playing, and I mean, I guess outside of Clemson and maybe a couple of, they've been burning through some pitching, man. They're going through everybody.
Well, you're going quick, right? I mean, think about if you're in that situation and you're a coach in that situation. I guarantee you go in, hey, I like this guy, but we're having a quick up. Hey, I like this guy. If he's got it, we got it. Dude, there's every one of these games feel like there's 6 or 8 pitchers per team almost. I mean, it's not great baseball, but it is truly, you see the teams doing everything they can.
They're doing everything to win, yeah.
Yeah, to win.
So that's what kind of happened to Brian and I in our tournament this weekend. We were playing, and again, when you're coaching travel baseball, you've got 11, maybe 12 kids on the team. And Brian told the boys this week, he's like, look, you might not be a pitcher on your middle school team, or you don't want to be a pitcher. And we've told them this before, but you're going to pitch for us because we just need to fight through this weekend. And
all the tournaments. I mean, everybody's going to have to pitch.
And we ended up losing in the game before the championship. But had we got to the championship, we were down to basically 2 kids who really never pitch. And it's like, well,
really should never pitch. But that's the reality. And hopefully, as our kids are able to stretch it out, you end up having. But you play 4 or 5 games in 2 days. You're playing on 60-foot mounds and stuff. And the kids are 13 years old. It just takes a lot out of their bodies from the standpoint of, it's different when you're 15, 16 and you're throwing from that distance than you are when you're 13 throwing from that distance.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully by the time they're 15, they're throwing more strikes too. So
absolutely.
Eliminating some of that. So, man, hey, Brian, good to be back. Good. Thank you all for listening today. We appreciate it. We've gotten a bunch of calls and emails and texts and people asking where we're at and all this. I mean,
feels good to be loved. Feels good to be needed.
Feels good. So thank y'all for listening to today. Enjoy your day.
Out. Go Pack. Go Tigers.